Welcome back to You're Done.
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
Hi,
Dash.
Hi, Brendan.
How are you?
You know, I'm good. Like, I know we've talked about this on the show recently, how like it was warm and that is gone now. So I'm good when I'm inside.
Got it. So it's back to being cold when we're recording this.
It's basically winter again.
Pray that when this comes out, it is not like that anymore.
I just need okay, where I'm in my happy place is 30 degrees, but like I just need it to be above 15.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm actually agreeing with you on that for once. I like it to be temperate.
But like you like it like that all the time.
I would love,
like we get 12 seconds of summer. I want 30 degrees.
I would love like a high of 22 and a low of 15, which is basically living in Vancouver.
Okay.
Anyways, so for today's episode, we're going to be talking about a topic that we find like really interesting, which is catfishing.
Meow.
The combination of this. It's a catfish.
Do you know, I actually really like the food catfish.
I've never had it before, I don't think.
We're about to eat it up today.
Yeah, eat it up. But before we get into the topic for today, let's do the catch up. So the last time we saw each other, Tash, I was about to go on my cross-country tour of Vancouver, Nanaimo, Calgary, Edmonton. And I just got back like 2 days ago. But my You're Done story was while I was in Vancouver and I was on my way to Nanaimo, I'm walking and I'm like, I've never done this before, but there's a downtown ferry that you can take directly from Vancouver to Nanaimo. And it's like an hour. And normally you'd have to go to like the ferry port, which is like 2 hours away, take a ferry that's 2 hours. It's like a 4-hour ordeal. This is downtown to downtown, 1 hour. Incredible.
Okay.
So excited. I'm in my cute little raincoat. Speaking of weather, it was torrentially raining the entire time I was there. Which
it looked like that from your photos.
Yeah, it was garbage. And I'm like, got my cute little coffee and I'm like really excited to get to the ferry. And then I'm like, I look over and some bird has shat all over me, like down my entire rain jacket, all over my arm. But because it was raining so hard, I didn't hear it. Like you didn't hear the splat. It was just like, I thought it was regular rain. So I'm like, fuck, I have to get to this ferry. And I'm like, what do I do? And the thing about Vancouver is that it has like quite a bad, like underhoused population there. So there's like, it's really difficult to get into like a public bathroom. Like none of the businesses really let you. You have to be like a paying customer.
You're like, please sir, I'm covered in poo.
I've been shit on. So I'm like, literally I toss the coffee that I have away so that I can go into another cafe and buy a coffee and be like, can I use the bathroom? And I have shit all over me. Like I walk right in there and I'm like, I wait in line because he needed a code. So I'm waiting in line covered in poo. I get to the front and I'm like, hi, I'd like a coffee. And he's like, okay. And I was like, and I think as you can see, I need the bathroom. So then I go in and I'm like, what? And I'm like hurrying because my ferry is coming soon. So I'm like, give me my coffee, get this bird poo off of me. Anyways, the ferry ride was really great, but I was You're Done all day because I had been shit on. So
the birds there are different.
They are.
What's the market that's in Vancouver?
Granville Island.
Yes.
Yeah.
I went there and I had like, there's a popular donut that you have to have, waited in a crazy line for it, got it, sat down to eat it, and they didn't even get into my mouth. It went,
bye. Thank you.
And everyone saw and was like, girl.
Oh no.
I was like, this bird is dangerous.
Scuttle from The Little Mermaid was,
Scuttle.
Yeah, it was like,
said, no, thank you. Take this to my friend.
Yeah, it was the biggest bird poo I've ever seen. I've been shit on by birds, like that's maybe my third time.
Wow.
So they say it's luck.
They say it's luck.
They say it's lucky, but I was like, what the fuck did you eat? Probably Tapa's donut. That's what it was.
Plop, plop.
Yeah.
Well, my You're Done is not as funny as that, actually. But it was just an observation for my Toronto girlies and gays and theys. You know when you like go out and you have to walk past King Street
Oh, I avoid it like the plague.
So
At night. During the day, it's fine.
The weekend at night.
Yikes.
I went to dinner at a restaurant named Sarah. So good.
Cute.
And it's just like on Portland above King. And so when we're leaving, we have to like, I didn't even realize it's 10:30 or it's 10:50.
Right.
Right. And in my mind, I'm like, the club time is until like 11:30, 12. We walk out. And the kitchen's outside, okay? The little baby boys and baby girls ready to go, to Lost and Found and stuff, or like, And so we walk out, and I'm just like, where did you all come from? But then I'm like, was I that person?
Yeah.
But I wasn't like a King Street, like.
Okay. A King Street hoe?
Yeah, I wasn't a King Street hoe.
Okay.
Maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
Right? But like, not that early.
I mean, the thing about it is that like when because they're all probably born in 2004 or even old or younger. It could be 2006 because it's 19.
I guess because it was raining yesterday.
I was in high school then.
Right? It was raining yesterday, and then I guess it stopped raining while I was at dinner, and it was like they sprouted.
Right. They came right
12 minutes ago.
Well, that's pretty you're done then.
I guess so, but I was just like trying to like get around, and I was like, excuse me. It's just like, don't get me wrong, I love a good party.
Sure.
Like, I went to a really cool party last week called the Coffee Party.
Cute.
Really enjoyed it. It was like done at 3, and I was like,
oh my God, it was for the 30-year-olds. For sure.
No, there's a lot of young.
Huh. A lot of young.
There was a lot of
young.
A lot of young.
Are all the drinks coffee themed?
It's all coffee. There's only like, the moment you walk in, there's like coffee drips things at the bar. You can get like specialized coffees. The only alcohol that they serve at that event was espresso martinis.
Oh, that's it.
That was it.
Oh my God,
right?
that would be crazy.
Pastries.
Okay.
So I was like, croissant. I have this croissant.
Espresso martini.
But yeah, so I had a Red Bull.
Oh. What? Oh, right, because you don't like coffee.
Because I don't have coffee.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy for you to be the one to go to a coffee party.
But it was a great DJ set.
Yeah.
So I had a great time. So.
And you were with the OGs, right?
Yeah, I was with the OGs. It was
cute.
Great. So that was my story.
Nice. I love that. So it's pretty you're done to be a King Street hoe. Sorry for anyone who listens who might be one. We still love you.
King Street hoes.
So our main topic for today is about catfishing, and to do a little research, Tash, you looked up like what does catfishing mean?
Well, there's many of meanings, but where it originated from. But it's saying that it's a metaphor for a person who seduces another with a fake profile, pretending to be someone maybe more attractive, more successful, interesting, or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's essentially you are pretending to be someone you are not.
Right. And so a thing that we found out when we were doing some research for this is that like the use of the term catfish for somebody that is like doing what Tash just said is actually relatively recent. So there was a film in 2010, so only like 15 years ago, called Catfish.
When the King Street hoes were born.
Yeah, literally. Well, no, they'd only be 15.
Right.
But pretty close. Pretty close. But it came out in 2010, and it was like a documentary, and it follows this young guy, Nev, who's being filmed by his brother and a friend.
Okay.
And he has this relationship with this woman on Facebook, like a young woman on Facebook. And it turns out that, like, through the documentary, you discover that she was not actually who she said she was. Mm. And so then that film becomes the MTV show Catfish, and the host is the guy who is catfished.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's what's really interesting.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
so I like that thread.
And that's why he's sort of like so passionate about finding this out for people. And then because of the MTV show, that's why people start using it as, oh, have you been catfished?
And I think so many more people have been catfished post that documentary and the show.
For sure. I have a catfish story.
Oh,
so this is kind of recent in the last like few years. It was like after a breakup, a couple months later, I like get on the apps and I was like, feeling my oats, and Mom, you might want to just skip a little bit, like skip a minute, 2 minutes from this. Grandma, same with you. Because they both listen.
Love that.
And so I was on an app burner, and I was talking to this guy, and we had talked before, and his picture was like not super clear, but it seemed like it was like he seemed relatively attractive, whatever. And so then we're talking and we're like decided to meet up. He's like going to come over. And as we're sort of arranging that he's going to come over, and he'd like sent me other pictures. And I was like, okay, great.
Cute, sure.
But they were all like a bit grainy. I thought maybe it was like he had a bad quality camera or something.
Oh, no.
But then as we're like sort of arranging that he's going to come over, he's like, oh, by the way, like, my hair is longer since those pictures.
Already a no.
And I was like, well, it's not my favorite, but whatever. I got needs. So whatever, urges. So anyways, I was like, yeah, that's fine. He's like, okay. So he shows up. And so the pictures of this person that I had been looking at, he was like, kind of like an alternative-y looking guy, had a beard. He was like probably about my build.
Okay.
And probably like a little bit older than me, but not much, like maybe in his like late 30s.
Okay.
When the person arrives at my door, that's what the photo looked like.
Okay.
When the person who arrived at my door was that man 15 years later, and after he had ate me and had grown his hair to past his titties. And the thing about it is that like I have had experiences where I had never been like that truly catfished. And
question, sorry, this was in your house or like at a restaurant or a bar?
No, this was at my house. He showed up at my door
screaming,
and I was like and
the
thing, and I was like, and this is what I think like catfishing, like what people do when they do that style of it, is that they think that you're going to be too taken off guard to like do anything about it. And to be honest, I didn't know what to do. I let him in.
What?
Because I was like,
would you not like, who the hell are you?
No,
get out.
I was like, and then anyway, so then we sit on like literally this couch.
No.
Yeah.
And have a discussion?
And we're talking, and I'm just like, and the thing is like the closer I look at him, the more is wrong. The more that's wrong.
So wait, Brendan. You invite him in your house. You're like, take off your shoes, thank you.
I'm more like, okay, yeah, I guess you can come in.
Like, what did you think was
I was like, so in my mind is racing. Like, how do I get this man out of my apartment?
Your apartment.
I know, but I was like, it was too late. I didn't know what to do. And so then I'm like, how do I get this man out of my apartment? And so we're sitting here, and this is not my proudest moment. No. So basically I was like, okay, I have to get this guy out. And I should have just said, you know what? You don't look like your pictures.
Get out of my
I'm not
house.
really into this. You need to leave. Instead, I was like, I remember I had told him that I had gone for seafood dinner with friends earlier. So then I was like, I'm going to put food sick. Yeah. So what I do is I'm like, oh, 1 second, I need to go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom. I'm like in the bathroom for like too long. I literally like take a cup of water and like pour it into the toilet so you can hear the like splashing. And then I'm in
This is so cringe.
It's so cringe. And so then I'm like, and he's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel well. And he's like, oh, okay. And I was like, I actually think you should leave. I think I might be sick.
With the door still closed?
Yes. And so then he's like, okay. And I was like, here. And so then I come out and I'm like trying to like look my like palest. And I'm like, here, I'm really sorry. Like, blah, 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 and walk him to the door, close the door, immediately block. Immediately block.
You're like, oh, I magically feel so much better.
And then I'm back on the app.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So that was my catfish story. And it was not my finest moment, but it was definitely not his. Well, and I just don't know how he understood that would be.
Well, there's a thing here that says why people catfish.
Okay. Tell us more. Why did this person do this to me?
Revenge.
I don't think it was that.
Shielded identity.
I don't think it was that.
Financial gain.
Mm-mm.
Loneliness.
Yes, for sure.
Targeted harassment.
Not that.
Insecurity.
Yes, it was definitely insecurity.
Mentalness.
Maybe. To think that was
exploitation.
That was that last one. He was trying to exploit me. He didn't. He was unsuccessful.
Wow. I thought you were gonna, honestly, be like, you know what, I just did him. And then
no, it was
just like, you know what, 1, 2, bam, bam, thank you, ma'am.
No,
like,
no.
Get out of my house. I honestly thought you were gonna say that.
I don't have shame a lot, but that was a step too far. Like maybe if that was like 15 years, that picture, maybe if it had been 10. Okay. Maybe if it had been 10. But yeah, sorry to that man.
If you're watching.
No, please don't be. I hope not.
Wild.
Whatever. Anyways.
Like, I've never been catfish, thank God. But like, all of like my exes and things like that are people that like I knew already.
Right.
Or like I met them. I was always so nervous that if I did like the apps and met somebody, I'm like, would that be the person that shows up?
Well, and it's pretty common. That's the thing. Like, I'm surprised with the amount of experiences I've had that was the only one. That was the only time I had.
It's
and
like
technically
it's giving,
it was
like Law and Order SVU, like dun dun, right?
Dun,
like,
dun.
Right? It's just like, it's wild.
Yeah. And I mean, like, that's the thing that's interesting about it. And I think that's part of why catfishing is only relatively recent as a term, is because you could only really do it via online.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's a way you could have.
Be a pen pal.
Yeah, with like fake photos and stuff. Yeah. I'm sure that happened, honestly, back in the day. But now it's just so easy. You can create a profile. You can create multiple profiles. We actually watched, this is a good segue.
It's a great segue.
So, spoilers for the documentary Sweet Bobby. We both watched it recently. Thanks to friend of the pod, Eddie, for recommending it to us. But basically, the documentary is about this woman in England who has a relationship, an online relationship with this guy, Bobby.
Started as friends. Because Bobby was in relationships, was married.
Well, and the first thing is she actually met him once in person.
Yes, but in like a really dark club.
Yeah, and they didn't know each other, but she saw him and was like, so she had seen this person and had seen that he was real.
Yeah. So she believed that like he was real.
Yeah.
Because she saw that he's real.
And then they become friends on Facebook. And part of it is because her cousin was dating Bobby's younger brother. And that's how she sort of got connected to him eventually.
She did because her cousin, like, you know, put them together in a way.
Yeah, and it was like, I think you guys would really like each other, whatever. But yeah, it started out that he was in a relationship, and then it sort of
goes... he was married and then married again.
Yeah, he gets divorced.
Yeah.
And he's like, supposedly this like well-to-do, like he's wealthy, he's between like Kenya and England and blah 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 business. And so they're talking, and it's all happening through Facebook Messenger, it seems. And they're talking for years.
And then I think it's WhatsApp as well.
Okay, yeah. It's like, but basically it's exclusively a texting relationship for years.
And he like went into like witness protection because he was shot and was in a coma.
Yeah.
Sent to New York.
Yeah.
She becomes friends with his friends that are in New York, like, and they're like the three amigos.
Yeah, so she's now has this like collected social network of like multiple people.
This is real because there's so many people involved.
Yeah, at one point I think she gets added to a group chat of his family, and there's like 30 people or something, and they're all like interacting in it and stuff. And so she like, I think, caveat, I've sort of had when I was like first coming out, like 20, I ended up like befriending and sort of like seeing this guy, not seeing this guy, but like having an online relationship with this guy that I met through Tumblr of all places. And we FaceTimed at some point, but a lot of it was messaging for a long time. And so I can kind of understand. The thing about this woman is that she was like in her late 30s.
Yeah, at this point, she was probably like 35 and like a lot of pressure from her family to get married.
Yeah.
I can get like when you're getting attention in some
and he's
shape
cute.
or form,
He's a cute guy. So
and like when you feel a connection and you think that that is real, then you're going to continue it.
Totally.
But like she started to get like really sad and depressed because of all the things that she couldn't go outside and talk to her friends without a message or something coming through, and you could see pictures of her like losing weight.
Yeah, and and he's like really like controlling of her life, wanting to know what she's doing all the time, all this stuff. And so, but it's all via text. That's the crazy part. And so like
there is though one moment because he had a surgery and like lost his voice, like it damaged his vocal cord.
Yeah.
And so there was a call, but he whispered.
And so that's the thing. Then it starts to turn into then they Skype to fall asleep, and it's just her talking.
It's just her talking.
He never talks.
Oh,
he like grunts or something, is she saying?
Like heavy breathing.
Heavy breathing and grunting or whatever, which is crazy. And so she never ever has a face-to-face conversation. Nothing, no FaceTime. She never sees this man. It's just the pictures that he had, and it's old pictures too. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, he hasn't updated his profile in like years.
But then what does he do?
Well,
he asks her to marry him.
Yes.
In a picture.
He drew. Yeah. Like when you, crazy.
Messy.
And of course she's like, yeah. And she's like told her parents about it because he's like, he is a real person. Her parents know of his family, so they're like, okay, well, he's like seems like legit and whatever, and so they're like being taken along for the ride the whole time too. And it just keeps getting progressively worse, and her life gets worse and worse the more involved, and goes on for 10 years in total for them talking. I think 3 or 4 of their relationship, which is
it's still like you've committed to a friendship / a relationship with someone that you've only lightly met once for 10 years.
Well, and at one point then he's like coming to England from New York, and he's like tells her what hotel he's staying in, and then she goes to the hotel and he's obviously not there. And then he says he's moved to a house that he lives in and she knew where it was. So then she goes to the house. The crazy part is that at some point, then he tells her that he'd gotten back together at some point with his ex-wife, and that she was pregnant and that they were going to have a baby together. So she, in her psychosis, ends up stalking the ex-wife, finds her, follows her,
she goes,
follows her to her house, and then goes up to the door, and then guess who's in the house? Bobby. And when he opens the door, the gag that this, so he opens the door and she's there and she's like, what are you doing?
Where you been? Like,
and he has no idea.
He's like, who the hell are you?
Because this man has actually never met her and never talked to her before. And the entire thing was completely done by.
Do we tell them? I mean, we're going to tell you because it was crazy.
It was crazy. By
the cousin.
The cousin from the very beginning.
Her cousin has been catfishing her for 10 years and made 60 different accounts of people to continue this lie.
All of the profiles, all the friends, all the family were all fake. But they were real people because she basically duplicated the real people's Facebook profile, which gives me like pause because I'm like, I often go through moments where I'm like, you know what, maybe there's too much about me online. I mean, we're doing this right now. But I'm like, somebody could create like a full fake profile with my Instagram pictures, my Facebook pictures, like
don't get
enough of my detail. Well, but anyone could do that.
It's crazy that like, I don't know. You can't be well in the mind to one, do that to someone, and then 2, do it to your cousin.
Yeah.
And for 3, like do it for that long.
What?
And they asked like, why did you do this? She's like,
I don't know.
That's a full-time job.
Yeah, because that's the thing. They're texting so much. Like, it's one, like, that's the other thing is, like, were they sexting? Were you sexting with your cousin?
They asked the main girl, she's like, were any of your communications sexual?
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't know if that's appropriate to ask.
Right.
That means yes.
Yes. Yeah. Because otherwise you'd say no.
Like, fingering, like popping each other's assholes. We'll see your cousin.
Whoa.
Like, no.
Yeah, crazy. So I would still highly recommend watching it because I actually described it very similar to what we just did. And still watching it, you have to see all the things that happen to really get the like magnitude and severity of how crazy this was for her. Mm-hmm. And like, she seems like she's in a good place now, but like,
it's heartbreaking because, yes, the cousin is the problem, but at what point do you as the person say enough is enough?
Yeah.
Right. And she really wanted to get married. She really wanted to have a family, and like you've committed 10 years of this, and you're in your 40s. And it's not that you can't have a kid at that time, but like you committed so much to this.
Yeah, it's like all this lost time.
When does it also become your fault?
I mean, yeah, I think the thing is that like sometimes I wonder if people are able, like, if they have that critical thought at some point, but they would rather like live in the lie a little bit because it's easier.
The hope
Yeah.
You could amount to more than the sadness without.
Yeah, and it's also this, like, if you've ever heard, it's called like the sunken cost fallacy.
Oh no.
It's this idea that like you've invested, so it's usually, you can use it in like terms of business, but you can also use it in relationships, where it's like you've invested so much time and money and energy and you have certain plans with this person that it feels harder to say no because of all the time that you've put into it. And so it's like you'd rather see it through.
What's it called again?
The sunken cost fallacy.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's the idea that like you actually continue to just lose more. You're not going to, there's no point where you're going to gain that stuff back if you see it through. You've already lost it. You've already given it up. So you might as well just like let it go. But yeah, it's interesting. And so I think that's what happens.
Living in the lie may be better.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Crazy. Heavy.
Well, I know. Well, watch a documentary. It's super good. It's on Netflix right now. There's been multiple, like this, what's it, the swindler something? What was
the Instagrams or the something. Oh, the Tinder swindler.
Tinder swindler.
Tinder swindler.
Right, like that was a whole.
But was he a catfish or was he? I didn't actually watch that one.
Catfish, but he like catfished what he could do.
Got it. Yeah.
It's different types.
Very Anna Delvey.
Very Anna Delvey.
Very Anna Delvey.
Yeah. So I think that it would be really cool if we add in some clips of the Catfish from MTV that we saw, because they're super funny.
Yeah, there's a really good one. There's an iconic one that if you watch the show Catfish, or if you've just been online, where it's this like, he has emo bangs and he's like he's being catfished. Well, he's like meeting this guy named Tony, and his cousin again is with him the whole time. And then it turns out when they go to this house that Tony sent them to or whatever, that the cousin is like, actually,
I'm Tony.
And he's like, why did you do this to me?
He called me fat.
You should have never called me a fat Kelly Price.
Why the would you do that?
Because
3 more years ago, because that ain't cool.
You should have never called me a fat ass Kelly Price.
You get mad off of that little bitty though. That's up.
It's life. Deal with it.
Don't talk to me ever no more, and I mean that.
What voice are you using to talk to him?
The Tony voice.
I just hope that I never
get catfish. Well, I think you're probably fine.
But not from a relationship standpoint.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like it could be very much like, here's this great opportunity. Oh, there's all the times that it's like, oh, you've won a free cruise.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right? Or like, I'm in
Catfish by business.
I'm like an African prince.
Oh yeah. Well, so I have I don't know if she'll hear this. I have a family member who has been basically being catfished via Facebook. The thing is that like she is older and her mind is not all there. And it's all happening on Facebook, and she believes
the root.
Yeah, it's because Facebook is like where everything goes to die now.
Yeah.
But she believes that she has been talking to and having like a semi-relationship, I guess, with this like Irish singer who is an actual famous Irish singer. His name is like Cowan something or other. My sister will fact check me on this one. But she's like been posting on her Facebook like pictures of him and statuses and whatever. And we were all like, we all know he, like, my whole family is like, we know he's not real. And so we've even tried to report his profile, because the thing is the real Irish, like the guy, whoever's doing this is using the guy's name, the guy's pictures, like all of the details. And so we've reported it to Facebook being like, this profile is not real. And Facebook has done nothing about it. And so
just like the same thing with the cousin, like she's not getting prosecuted or anything.
No,
like,
it's, my family member is still, the hilarious part is my mom ended up speaking to this family member about it to be like, you know, you're being catfished. And she was like, well, no, she thought that he was just, she thought when we said that she was being like catfished, that it was just that he isn't actually a famous singer.
Oh. Precious.
Her mind's not all there, so that's part of it. But like, there's a whole industry
that they're been in a relationship with Brad Pitt.
Yeah, a woman who, we talked about this on the pod a little while ago. Yeah, there's a woman in France who like literally like divorced her husband because, and like gave away millions of dollars to this person who said he was Brad Pitt and he's in the hospital.
$1 million.
He was saying that it's because his divorce with Angelina Jolie has all of his assets trapped and he needs his like millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars for this like surgery that he has. The person used like AI generative stuff to like make the pictures of Brad Pitt in the hospital and whatever. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
Listen.
But there's a whole industry of it. There's a whole, like, there are countries in different parts of the world where it's an entire industry to catfish people and swindle them out of money. So it's like
swindle them out of money.
It's literally offices of people that are like doing that.
Imagine like you're talking to like who you think is like your boyfriend or girlfriend, but it's actually like an office building somewhere.
It's a little
like,
Asian boy somewhere in Thailand. Yeah. Who's like
love it there. Oh my goodness. Well, I enjoyed this chat.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power,
y'all.
Knowledge is power.
Who you're speaking to.
Have you ever been catfished? Let us know.
We won't judge.
We'll keep it anonymous.
Yeah,
but maybe we'll read it on the next one. If anyone sends us a good catfish story, we'll put it on the next episode.
And we'll make sure that there's the clips for you guys to watch on this and then we'll also post some on like the socials because it's hilarious.
For sure.
And like
when it's not you. Yeah, it was hilarious.
It's like super funny.
My story is funny after the fact, but at the time I was like, is this man gonna kill me?
Well, you let it in you.
I know, it was crazy. I would never do it again.
Thank you. And with that,
we'll see you next week. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow along for more.
Later days.
Bye.
Weekenders.